Welcome back to Words of Paradise. I'm your host, Leon Idle, and oh, don't you love it when a plan comes together? Let's talk about Elon Musk yet again, in what has got to be one of the most ironic twists of fate that is interesting to cap the year off with. It's pretty great when everyone's calling Elon Musk a fascist and saying that he rules Twitter and billionaires shouldn't have this much power and just dragging his name through the dirt. But when you need to use Space Daddy's money and expertise to solve a problem, they come running. NASA mulls using SpaceX to rescue astronauts after Russia's space station leak. So, yeah, spend all this time calling the man every negative thing under the sun, but now you need help. You want to cozy right back up to him. And of course, being the good man that he is, I'm sure that he would be more than willing to acquiesce this request. Let's read through here. On December 15th, NASA and astronauts faced a scary situation when a Russian Soyuz spacecraft docked to the International Space Station sprung a massive coolant leak, shortly before a spacewalk was set to commence by a pair of Russian cosmonauts. First of all, why didn't we even know that this was a thing? Like, this is the sort of stuff that really should be in the news, not just when things go bad, but anytime we go to space and we're doing spacewalks. Like, isn't that more important than what some Hollywood actress was wearing at some red carpet event? The crew on board is safe and not in any immediate danger, but 2 cosmonauts and 1 NASA astronaut were supposed to use the Soyuz vehicle to return back to Earth early next year. With the spacecraft's status in limbo, NASA and Roscosmos, Russia's space agency, have been trying to figure out their options for how to move forward. Well, obviously, Space Daddy Musk. I mean, probably should have been using him from the get-go, considering better equipment, better funding. Private businesses do everything better than the government, but, Then again, if the Russian people were using SpaceX, there's even more accusations of collusion and Elon being in bed with them, so yeah, we should at least be using SpaceX instead of NASA, considering how underfunded they are. Or we could just start funding NASA instead of drag queens going to the White House. That's an option too. To that end, NASA is pondering one contingency plan, using a SpaceX Crew Dragon mission to effectively rescue the stranded astronauts in the coming months. What a cool name. SpaceX Crew Dragon. Like that sounds like something out of a video game. Oh, NASA. Yeah, NASA's some boring government acronym. SpaceX Crew Dragon. Exactly what I would expect out of somebody who was a programmer for Sega at like 15, like Elon was. International Space Station teams continue to meet about the Soyuz MS-22's external cooling loop leak. A NASA spokesperson told the Daily Beast in an emailed statement, NASA and Roscosmos will continue to review options together before making a final decision on how to safely bring the crew home. The Expedition 68 crew remains in good condition, performing maintenance and research activities. Additionally, we've asked SpaceX a few questions on their capability to return additional crew members on Dragon if necessary, but this is not our prime focus at the time. Why isn't this your prime focus? If this can be easily done and the financial capability of doing it is there, why bother with all these other options? Just use the best option available to you. Now, obviously, this is not my area of expertise. I don't know if this is the best option available to you. But with all the success that SpaceX has had, I'd like to think that, they should be the prime priority go-to for this. It also would be a lot cheaper than using taxpayer dollars from either country to handle this, which is what NASA or, the Russian one, Robocosmo or whatever, would do. Now, do I care if Russian taxpayer dollars are used to get these cosmonauts home? Yes, actually, I do. Because the Russian citizenry isn't the problem, it's the Russian government. The regular Russian citizens shouldn't have their taxes used for frivolous things either. Now, this isn't frivolous. This is actually important. But if Russian economy is anything like Western economy, taxes are being wasted on frivolous things, leaving less allotment for important issues like this. I mean, you kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone when you use SpaceX. You take care of the taxpayer side of it, and you support a private business. And then obviously there's the added bonus of, getting our people back on planet Earth safely. Like, have you ever been stranded before? Got a flat tire and you feel like you're alone? These guys are in space. Maybe you should use Space Daddy billionaire Tony Stark Elon Musk money to get them back on the planet. SpaceX did not answer the Daily Beast's request for comment, It is unclear yet exactly what SpaceX mission would entail. A Crew Dragon spacecraft, named Endeavour, is already docked to the ISS, and theoretically more seats could be added to that mission, when it's supposed to come back to Earth next year. But that mission is already filled up with 4 people: NASA astronauts Nicole Mann and Josh Cassada, Japanese astronaut Koichi Wakata, and Roscosmos cosmonaut Anna Kikana. Another option would be for NASA to prioritize a new SpaceX Crew Dragon launch to the ISS, specifically to pick up the 3 crew members who were supposed to come back on Soyuz: NASA astronaut Frank Rubio and Russian cosmonauts Sergei Prokofiev and Dmitry Petelin. Also, is there not an option to send someone up with supplies to help fix it? If there's a piece of equipment up there leaking coolant and damaged, it should also kind of be a priority to get that in working order. Now, I'm no rocket scientist. I don't know what fixing that would entail. But if it's not able to be fixed up there, shouldn't we prioritize a way to get that back for repairs as well? Or are we just going to let space junk float around outside a multi-billion-dollar space station? I don't know. Again, I'm no expert. Maybe I sound like a freaking idiot, which is entirely possible. It just seems that, don't get me wrong, getting the people home and the lives of those who are stuck up there, that's the most important thing. But there's some details that seem to be missing so far. The loss of coolant means the current Soyuz capsule is seeing huge spikes in temperature. NASA has said the capsule's temperatures remain within acceptable limits and is being cooled with vented airflow allowed from an open hatch to the rest of the ISS. But it seems almost impossible to imagine the capsule could still be used to ferry humans back to Earth. The cause of the Soyuz leak remains unknown. An investigation found a hole in the radiator exterior, which may have been caused by a micrometeoroid or a tiny piece of orbital debris. A hardware failure may also be to blame, which would only add more scrutiny to the Roscosmos' increasing space screw-ups. That's fair. I mean, yeah, there's been a lot of interesting space issues when it comes from the Russians. But yeah, I think that's about all there is to cover with this article. But it blows my mind. Everyone talks mad trash to and about Elon Musk, calling him all these awful names, when meanwhile they completely ignore all the good he's done and all the good he probably can continue to do. I mean, are you anti-bad things for the environment? Alright, Teslas are electric. Remember when all those miners got stuck? Elon came up with a plan to try and, bore in with his boring company technology to get them out. Was it a great plan? No, probably wasn't the best plan, but it was still a plan when the government didn't have any. Are wages starting to become an issue? Okay, self-driving trucks for deliveries across long country hauls, but that'll put truckers out of work. Well, automation is the future, and we kind of have to find a balance. Do we want to make things more convenient and automated as time goes on, or do we want to pay higher wages? That way we can keep people in business. Well, that's a tough decision to be made. All in all, it seems like so many of the world's woes have started to fall on Elon, not just Twitter. And anytime someone needs something from him, he always delivers, or at least attempts to deliver. And then, when they're not asking him for help, they're trashing him in the news. And the media's got their grubby little hit piece reporters doing all sorts of smear campaigns and just anything negative about him. It's a really strange dichotomy. I'd like to dissect his brain and wonder how he handles that. How do you handle being the man that technically has so much of the technology and power and wealth to save so many aspects of the world, while also being demonized for that same technology, power, and wealth, and being told it's being used for evil and for your own beneficial gain and for dictatorial or fascistic purposes? It must be a very interesting dichotomy. Or maybe he just wipes his tears with $1,000 bills, jerks off, and goes to sleep. I don't know. All I know is there's some astronauts that are potentially stuck up in space right now, off planet, and we have the opportunity to ask Elon, hey, can you help bring them back? Which I'm sure he'd say yes to, but it's not their prime consideration, despite the technology being there, and the relief for government spending that, of course, will happen if we send up NASA or Roscosmos or whatever it was, ships. I'm no expert on this stuff. I just want to focus on how strange it is that, Daddy Elon is the one they call on for help after all the smear campaigns against him. So let me know what you think of this whole situation in the comments below. Please like and subscribe. I am really trying to grow this channel, so your subscription would mean the world to me. And follow me on Twitter at BoltTheWord, because this has been Words of Paradise.